Hey everybody, I'm going to be showing you how to set up auto registration within Zabbix. One of the most common things I see people do is set up passive monitoring within Zabbix. And I'm here to tell you the better way to go about this is setting up active registration, and I'm going to explain why. The problem with passive discovery with a Zabbix server when you're trying to implement monitoring across your IT infrastructure is if you set up passive monitoring, you have to poke holes in your firewalls if you got a whole bunch of firewalls. And if you're trying to implement zero trust within your environment or just be secure, more secure overall, you don't want to allow anything to pass at all. You don't want to put any allow inbound rules at all on your firewalls or your host-based firewalls. So when you're doing Zabbix passive discovery, that is essentially what you have to do for it to work. You have to have some sort of allow inbound on your firewall or your host-based firewall. Because with passive discovery, the way it works is that the Zabbix server is the one that is initiating the connection to the monitored host. So I do not recommend this at all. What I recommend is the exact opposite, which is with active registration, and it is more secure in my opinion because now instead of the Zabbix server being the one initiating the connection, your monitored host is the one that is going to be initiating the connection to your Zabbix server. So that is more secure because you no longer have to poke a hole in your firewall and say, hey, allow this guy to go inside. You don't do that. What you do instead is, hey, deny everything that's trying to come in, and then my monitored host can talk to Zabbix. Way more secure than poking a hole in your firewall and saying, hey, Zabbix, you can talk through this hole. And it's pretty dangerous, especially if that's through some public interface. I'm not sure why you would want to expose that to the internet, but maybe there's a scenario where that might be it. But active registration is a lot more secure in terms of that, because you do not have to have any allow rules in your firewall from the outside. So there's that. Just wanted to give a little explanation on why we should do active registration instead of passive discovery. And I'm going to go in depth on how to actually set up active registration, which is pretty easy. So here we go. What you're going to want to do here is go to the agent configuration. And what you're going to want to do is go to the server active section and put in the IP address of your Zabbix server. The next thing you're going to want to do, which I will show you actually for context, on your front end, you're going to want to go to data collect, I believe it's actually over here, actions, auto registration, create action, name it whatever you want. What you're going to do is host metadata, and in the value, something that makes it obvious what type of server it is. And here I would put Linux. And what this is going to do is it's going to check this configuration file and see the metadata, however you pronounce it. And it's going to check what your value is here. And here, I'm just going to put Linux. And then host name does not really matter for active registration. So let's restart the agent. And let's finish up this action. So the action, if the host metadata contains Linux, I'm going to go operations. Obviously, I want to add the host. I'm going to want to add it to a host group. Let's add it to Linux servers because the metadata says Linux, so it should be in the Linux servers group. Then what I'm going to want to do is enable the host. Then I'm going to want to link it to a template, the Linux template, Linux by Zabbix agents active. Now, when I add this, we should see it pop up here very shortly. And now you can see it's able to monitor. And obviously these are going to take a little bit while to start populating, but that's pretty much all you have to do. And if you want to know how to set up certain dashboards or any alerts, go ahead and stay tuned for the next video.